Welcome back to the Expressions of Destiny podcast. This is Jennifer. Today is Teachable Tuesday, and we are going to have to title this one, Business Owners, We Have to Do Better. We have to do better. And every week, I try to bring something that is relevant to today. Our podcast episodes are always unscripted because it's always something I want to make sure that it's something that I know that I've experienced or that I have gone through in that a previous week or even, at least within the month, a subject that is happening now, some type of pain point, some type of problem that is happening right now. And boy, did I get that experience this past weekend, just within the past 3 to 4 days. And if you've been listening for a while, you know that one of my biggest heart, just one of those things that just drives like a stake into my heart is when I see horrible customer service. And I understand that people are human and they go through things and we might have problems. We might have a bad day. There might be something that is going on, but it all starts at the top. And I want you to hear me out today because sometimes, although we may have employees that are not treating the customers right or they don't know how to interact with them, what is the real problem and the real issue? As a manager, a supervisor, a business owner, a CEO, whatever leadership title you want to give yourself, it is your responsibility and your job to find out what it is that is going on in that situation. Why is it that your employees don't know how to treat the customer? Is it a lack of training? Is it because they're having personal issues and problems at home? Is it something that they're not able to deal with or really maneuver through in their own life where you could actually be a help and an aid and an encouragement to them? Or is it just a lack of training? Either side, either way, it's still our responsibility to show some care and concern for what it is that is happening within our business, because that poor customer service affects your business. It affects the way that your customers see you. And then we begin to receive, negative reviews. People start talking about, the way that they've been treated in your establishment. And granted, yes, we have talked about this as well in the past, that there are some customers that can be really nasty and rude. But the same thing goes for them. And that's one thing that I always try to remember when I do encounter, which I have over the years. I have had so many customers that have been so mean and nasty to me and just rude and cussing me out and everything else that could possibly be thrown at me. And I have still been able to stand there and look at them. And in my mind, remember, they are not mad and angry at me. They are mad and angry at whatever has happened in their day, whatever they have encountered. Someone else, made them upset about whatever it was, and I just happened to be their target. That's the way that I try to approach these situations. That's what really helps to mend our customer service problems, is remembering that we all have some type of chaos and drama in our life. We all have some type of problem. And if it is on the forefront of our mind, then we're going to lash out. It doesn't matter who's standing in front of us. It's just a reaction. And so when we learn how to respond and not react at that situation, then it helps us as an employer. It helps us as the employee. It helps our customers. It helps our business grow. It helps us to really show that we care and we are concerned about not only the people that come into our establishment every day, but the people who work for us. So let me give you a couple of examples of what happened this past weekend. And the first one was a head turner because my family and I, we were walking into a grocery store, not one of your big chains. It was one of the smaller ones here in Florida. And it's still a chain, but it's just one of the smaller establishments. And as we are walking in the door, I hear a woman's voice say, well, if you wouldn't keep pulling it out that fast, it wouldn't have that problem. We wouldn't have that problem. And it took me a moment because I expected to turn around. This was at the self-check area. So, of course, these are customers that are checking themselves out. And I expected to turn around and see maybe the wife of a customer fussing at her husband, getting on to him for not doing it right. And when I turned around, it was an employee of this grocery store that was in charge of managing those self-checks to make sure that the customers were, moving along and didn't need help, scanning their items. And it just really broke my heart because this was an older gentleman, an elderly man who was at the self-check. I don't know how to use those things all the time. They're different in every store. You want to make sure you're punching every button correctly. Apparently, he tried to pull the receipt out too quickly or something having to do with the paper, and it got stuck. And she was fussing at him for that. And she was fussing loud. I mean, I heard it coming through the door, and the other customers are looking. I'm not sure if my if my family was paying attention as much as I was, and it's funny because I can start walking through the store, and my husband can tell that I'm frustrated over something, and I know that he has heard or seen the same thing that I has because he'll turn around and he'll say these words, "Boy, that triggered you, didn't it?" And he knows me that I am so ready to step in and to correct those situations because it's so unnecessary. It is very unnecessary for us to treat other people that way because of whatever it is that might be going on in your life, maybe your day there at work, maybe a coworker or your manager has upset you. Whatever it is not your right to treat someone else that way. And I'm always trying to find a way to justify the situation because I don't want to be judgmental. And so my first thought was, well, maybe this is a regular customer because we do go into that store, pretty much every weekend when we're heading home from, a certain area or place. It's just one of our stops to make. It's got a couple of our favorite things. And so I do see quite a few of the same customers that come in there. It's their regular day to go, just like us. It's their regular time of the day. So we do see repeat customers in there. And I thought, well, maybe this is somebody who's been coming to their store for a while, and this woman is familiar with him. And maybe he's made this mistake a couple of times, getting the paper jammed. But I had to stop myself from trying to justify that situation and think, well, he shouldn't be treated that way either way. There is no reason for us to treat anybody that way. We are to be a help to them. That is our job and our position, is to serve the customer. And maybe just very gently and with patience go up and just address the issue privately and not make a spectacle out of him in front of all of these other customers, including us, as we're walking through the front door. It really broke my heart. I don't understand how we can be so just nasty and ugly to people that we don't even know. You don't know what they're going through. And so we don't just hold a job. We hold a position to serve and to love and to show respect. And that's why I say, as managers and business owners, supervisors, CEOs, whatever title you hold, it is your responsibility to correct that situation, to correct that issue, to remind that employee of their position and what they have been hired to do, and to remember to be patient with these customers. Be patient. It's so simple, and we make it so hard. I can go on and on about this situation because this was the main one that really bothered me. But let me move on to the second one. So later on in the weekend, we went to a particular gas station that, serves food and has options and such. And so we were ordering some things just to kind of take with us on the road, and they didn't have a particular item on the menu, the kiosk menu, and so the lady hand wrote it out for us, went and took it to the register so that when we got ready to pay, we could just inform whoever was at the register that we had a special order to please ring that up with the rest of our items. And as I go up to the register, there's this young lady, and she is standing there with the most disgusted look on her face, looking exhausted, tired, not wanting to deal with anybody. I saw the way she interacted with the person in front of me. It was just kind of like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Here's your change. And once again, I understand people have hard days. They have a hard time. But it's hard for me to understand. When you step into that position and you clock in, it is your responsibility as an employee to fulfill the duties that you have signed up for, that you are being paid for. And that is to give excellent customer service to your customers, no matter who they are. And if you're having a problem or an issue at that moment or within that day, then be responsible enough to step up and say, you know what, I'm kind of having a hard time. Can I take a break? Can I go in the back? Or will you talk to me for just a minute, because I don't know how to get past this frustration or this upset or whatever it is that they're going through. It could be personal. But why are employees not trained to know that they can speak up and they can say things like that and recognize when they may need a break? Because they are not going to give their 100% to the customers that they're supposed to be serving. So remove them for a moment and replace them with someone else who will step in. But they need to also understand that once they've had that moment where they've been able to step back and take a break, they need to come back and fulfill their duty and be ready to do what it is that they have been signed up to do. So back to the story. This young lady was at the register, and I said we actually had a special order that needs to be rung up with this. It was 2 burgers and 2 fries, and she looked at me and she was like, what kind? And I said, well, they said they wrote it down and left it up here. So she speaks into her little microphone to the woman that was at the register next to us, and she says, what was the special order? And the lady tells her 2 burgers and 2 fries. I just told her that. So she pulls out her book to try to find the little barcode to scan, because I guess it wasn't in the computer. It's probably a new item. And she says, and I kind of looked at her and I said, would it be easier if we just, oh, no. I told her, they went ahead and wrote down the order for you. And she says, well, they wrote it down over there and gave it to her. And I said, oh, okay, well, would it be easier if I just went over there and let her ring it up? And she looked at me and she says, no, because then you're going to have to get out of line and stand in line again and wait. You're already here. It wasn't a problem for me to step out and go to the register where our order was placed. I'll go and stand in line again because I want to go to the person who knows how to ring up my order. And I was trying to be really nice, but she was just so not there, not wanting to be there, not wanting to really help or look for what it is that she needed or understand what I was trying to say. I can go on and on. And it's in those moments where you want to try to help them to understand, it's okay. I understand you're having a hard day, but I still need to get the stuff that I need. I came in here for a reason. This is important to me. These burgers and fries are going to feed my family. We had a plan. I don't want to make it more of a problem for you, and customers should not have to feel that way, where we are making more of a problem for the employee when it is the employee's job to serve that customer. So it's in these moments that my purpose and my passion gets activated to the extreme, because I understand how hard it is to be an employee and to be mistreated or misunderstood or just have a rough day, and really just need somebody to talk to, or maybe just need some encouragement or some further training or whatever it is that I feel like I'm struggling with. And I also know how it feels to be an employee who has been attacked by customers for no reason and still try to serve them with everything that I have. I also know what it feels like to be a customer who is on the receiving end of an employee who is just having a horrible day. I happen to be on the end as a customer who has seen another customer just really lash out at an employee, and being the next person in line, or maybe the next person to be served, to be in a position to be able to speak up to that employee and say, listen, I think you're doing a wonderful job. Or don't worry about rushing with me. I'm not in a hurry. It's okay. Go ahead and do what you need to do. Because on both ends, everybody needs to be encouraged, but everybody expects to be treated a certain way. And this is why customer service is so important to me, because we literally just release all of our anger and frustration and whatever it is that is our own personal problems. We unleash them onto people that have nothing to do with it. And we forget that we are in a position, and I'm talking about the employers and the employees, we are in a position where we are being paid and we have been given an opportunity to earn a living, to earn an income by doing certain things that we have signed up to do. We have agreed to fulfill those duties that have been given to us. And we've lost that. We have to do better. This is why this episode was so easy to title, We Have to Do Better. I want to share one more story before we go today. There is a particular show that my family and I love watching, Undercover Boss. If you haven't seen it, you need to. And it is interesting to me how many of these CEOs and business owners who have grown so big, or maybe they have purchased a company out from someone else, so they're learning what that company actually does, but they just purchased it because it was a successful company. They come in they go undercover in certain locations, and they know absolutely nothing of how that company is run, but they're at the top and they're running it. And some of them do have standards, and they do know that things are supposed to be done a certain way. And so they're able to pick up on that when they notice that their employees in these certain locations aren't doing things the way that they expected them. So they haven't been able to really experience the actual establishment. And then there are some CEOs and owners that don't even know how to do the things that their employees are doing. So it's just very interesting to me. But bottom line is, there was an episode where there was a shift leader in a restaurant that was just slamming the CEO that was undercover, just with an attitude and bullying and doing, just being so ugly to his staff, just, ruling with an iron fist, just do it the way that I tell you to do it. And why aren't you doing it right? And my husband asked me, one simple question: what would you have done in that situation? Would you have fired him, let him go on the spot? Would you have given him a chance? And I said, everybody deserves an opportunity to have that issue addressed. So what happened is that the franchise owners of this establishment had put up with it for so long that it wasn't until the CEO came in and addressed the issue that they finally decided to let this guy go. But why did it take you that long to address that issue? Why are we afraid to address certain issues? It's not a negative thing. It's just the expectations of how your business is to be run. And if someone is not running it, if you have entrusted someone else to a position in your establishment to manage it and to run it a certain way and to oversee other staff members, and they are not doing it to your expectation, why do you put up with that? You can address those issues. And when you talk to that person and you address it, if they change, then great. They realize that they weren't doing things the way that you expected them to do it. And they said, okay, let me go ahead and change the way that I do things. Let me go ahead and try it this way. I want to make sure that I'm doing it to your standards. Because you're the owner, right? If they don't change and they continue, then you can say, we tried to address it. I gave you a warning. I told you how it needed to be done, and you're not doing it, so I'm going to have to let you go. But why are we afraid to do that? We just put up with it. And it is not only hurting, our other employees in the way that it's making them feel, the way that they're being treated. That leads to it affecting your customers, because now your other employees that are upset and that are being mistreated are now lashing out or, releasing that frustration onto the customers. And through all that, it is now affecting your business. We cannot allow these things to get to that point. When you own a business, you are the head. You are the owner. You set the standards. You set how that business, that company is going to be run and the expectations of it. And when your employees come in, you set those expectations and you tell them this is how it's going to be done. If they don't do it, then someone else needs to be put in that position that will do it, because that is your baby and your business. You have to take ownership. And so, I'm really glad that these things happened. And I think it's funny when I go back and think about, every time my husband says, well, that really triggered you. Yes, it did trigger me, because we are human beings, meaning, yes, we make mistakes, but we're also human beings. We don't deserve to be treated a certain way because someone else is having a bad day. And so I really just wanted y'all to think on these three incidents and think about times that you walk into your own establishment, or if you don't own a business just yet, when you walk into other establishments and how you're treated, or how you see other employees being treated, or maybe how you see the employee treating the other customers. Think about those things. It is so simple, yet we make it so hard. And business owners, we have to do better. Have to. And so I just needed to share that with you today. Like I said, everything is always unscripted. It is straight from, what we are dealing with today, every day, in these businesses and these establishments. No one should ever have to feel like they don't matter, no matter if you are the employee, the employer, or the customer. No one should be placed in that position to feel like they don't matter. So I hope this helps you. I hope it encourages you. We can do better. It's not a lashing out of we have to do better. We have to. It's saying we can if we choose to. And so I will talk to you next week. Thank you again for joining me on the Expressions of Destiny podcast. God bless.